guys, Retro Gaming Guy here. So today in this video, we're going to unbox, demo, and review the PowKiddy RGB20SX handheld video game console. So I'm really excited for this today because I've always been a big PowKiddy fan. However, I haven't reviewed any of their handhelds in quite a while. So really excited to see how this pans out. Let's go ahead and start unboxing this. All right, guys, here we go. So very well packaged, as it typically is from PowKiddy. And here is our power supply cable. We've got a USB-A to USB-C. USB-C is going to be what connects over to the actual handheld. Looks like we've got some stickers here, and I believe these would, it looks like these could go over, yeah, we could take these off and I guess put them over the handheld here. Let me see how that would line up. Okay, cool. Yeah, you could put it over the control deck of the handheld. Let's see if we can get this out of here. Tight fit. That's always a good thing. There we go. So we've got the orange handheld right here, and I'm definitely liking this design. I mean, that screen is massive. So let me set this aside for a minute and take a look at the back side here at those R1, R2, L1, and L2 shoulder and trigger buttons here. Interesting that they're individual. Usually we see those without any sort of gaps back there, but definitely interesting. I want to check that out closer, but yeah, this is definitely a little bit interesting here. I guess for kids, this would be pretty cool though. So what you would do is you actually, I was thinking you put these on the buttons, but that's not what you do at all. You would just take all these little individual shapes out, and then you would be left with the outer shell here. So you can see as I pull that out, we have this little, I don't even know what type of creature or creation this is, but basically it would come out just like that. And you would be able to just kind of line that up over your control deck here. Definitely not something for me personally as an adult, but something I think my kids would be into. And we also have the manual in here as well. And it does walk through the button functions and all of that, but it's pretty self-explanatory, I think anyways. So definitely pretty cool. All right, so let's take a closer look at the handheld itself. We've got a 4.5-inch IPS screen on here, which I think is going to be amazing. Obviously, we haven't powered this on yet, so we don't know what the picture quality looks like just yet, but love that larger screen. Typically what we see is a 3.5-inch IPS screen on a lot of these budget-friendly handhelds, so I'm loving the fact that this right off the bat is much larger. Standard 4-button configuration over here for our buttons, very responsive, great action on these. They feel very responsive, so I'm definitely liking that. D-pad on here seems to be on point as well. And then we've got dual analog sticks here. Definitely like the fact that these are actually recessed in quite a bit, so if you actually take a look at the side sort of profile shot of this, they don't come out a whole lot from the edge of the actual handheld here. So I actually like that because they are recessed in, so they're low profile. Feel very comfortable though, very responsive. Definitely will pay close attention to what the experience is like with those. Start and select located in the middle, function button right here, dead center below those. Speaker right here on the control deck, which I love the fact that we have a speaker facing us as gamers. So many times we see speakers that are located on the sides, which then you have distortions as you hold this, or you have speakers on the back side, which ends up being great if you're sitting behind your handheld, but as gamers, we're always going to be in front of it. So I think that this is on point as to where it's located. Sometimes we also will see them in the corners, kind of like an old school Game Boy, but those also get muffled by your hand placement. So this is on point with that. Very well thought out. Over here, we have a plus and minus over here for volume control. Up here at the top, we have a mini HDMI port, so we can actually connect this over to a TV or monitor and be able to play up on a big screen. On the left-hand side, if you're looking at this straight on, we have our power button, and we also have a reset button over here. Down here, we have a micro SD card slot. This one is actually empty. Over here, we have another one. So this is TF1, this is TF2. So right-hand side is going to be, I assume, your operating system micro SD card, and I'm actually going to disengage that and check. If this is a small capacity, then yes, it's going to be your operating system. Yeah, this is 16 gigabytes. So I believe this actually uses GelOS as well. So I'm going to go ahead and reinsert that in. And there's no micro SD card in here on slot 2, but I did notice that we have a bag with a micro SD card in it inside the packaging, which I initially did not notice. It was actually underneath those little stickers there. So this is a 120 gigabyte micro SD card. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that into micro SD card slot number 2 over here. So just simply slides in there like that. And if you have a fingernail, you're going to want to engage that connection there. So I'm just going to use the tip of my scissors here just to slide that in. It is recessed in there quite a bit. You'll hear it kind of snap into place or click into place. I like the fact that it's recessed in because if it's not, you run the risk of disengaging your micro SD card when gaming on here just from the inside of your hands or fingers. And you don't want that to happen. That's a sure way to end up with a card corruption. So the fact that these are recessed in there quite a bit is definitely a great thing. Now on the back side, we have our shoulder and trigger buttons, and these are individual buttons here. Sometimes we'll see our R1 and R2 side by side without a gap in the middle. These do seem to be staggered out a little bit. Let me see how they feel. They actually feel very responsive, very easy to hit these. No sweet spot, meaning that you can hit anywhere on the surface of these buttons and they're going to perform very well. I also feel like this handheld is very well balanced. Oftentimes when I'm hitting buttons here on the control deck and then also hitting buttons on the backside, whether it's shoulder or triggers, I feel like I'm kind of wrestling this back and forth like that. This is very well balanced in that I can hit my A, B, X, or Y as well as my shoulder or trigger buttons, and I'm not wrestling it back and forth with this tug of war sort of action. I can hit everything and it just really stays pretty centrally located there. There's not much feedback back and forth. So that's definitely pretty cool. I also noticed that our shoulder buttons here are thinner than the triggers, and it actually makes it so they're kind of sculpted in a way where it just lines up perfectly. We don't have to have much action on our fingertips to hit our trigger buttons, and then we can just actually hit the shoulder buttons with the inside of our fingers rather than repositioning to our fingertips like this. We can just kind of hit those like this right in the inside of this part of my finger. So really nicely thought out. This feels super comfortable, and I'm really loving that 4.5-inch screen, and I haven't even powered it on yet. So we've got micro SD card slot 1 and 2 ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and hold down the power button over here on the side, and we're going to boot this up. And I want to see if we have a GelOS logo on here when we power it on, because I am a big fan of GelOS, and I have heard that that is what is on here, stock these days. Sweet. So we got the GelOS logo right there. Hard to see, but it is there, so that's good. We're using GelOS. I'm going to let this load in, and we'll tour through what this offers stock. All right, guys, so here we are loaded up into our micro SD card. Again, this is using GelOS. We jump into this all games list. You can see we have a text list on the left-hand side, and some of these populate in scraped data, some don't. Just depends on the game, it seems. Like that one has it on the side. So we're going to back out. We're going to go through this collection by collection so we see exactly what we have going on. This is a pretty dark screen at the moment, but some of these lighten up. So we have favorites over here. This is going to be a custom collection that you put together yourself. Add all your favorite titles in here for easy access. Down here we have arcade. This collection has 2,267 games. And if we jump in here, you can see we do have scraped data over here. So we get a little bit of graphics for each title with a logo. On the right-hand side, this particular theme actually kind of washes it out, or it actually blends it over to the text list on the left-hand side. So it does take some of the graphics off there, but you can change your theme on here, and you can always add more themes to GelOS as well. So this comes with, I think, 4 or 5 stock themes. This one actually, what I like about this particular theme, though, is if we back out, it tells you your game count on the main page here. A lot of these collection graphics look really sharp, but they don't give you the actual count for how many titles. And for the sake of this video, I definitely want that available. Next collection is going to be Capcom System 1, Capcom System 2, Capcom System 3. And judging by the game count, 32, 36, and 4, it does seem to be pretty on point. You can see how that populates in here as well. Pretty cool stuff. So we'll back out. And after the Capcom games, we have Dreamcast. This is one of my favorite retro consoles. So 17 games here. Let's see what we have. We have Capcom Fighting, Crazy Taxi 2, Dead or Alive 2. We've got Giga Wing 2, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. That's a great game. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We've got a bunch of great stuff in here. Mortal Kombat Gold, Power Stone 2, Resident Evil, Soul Calibur, Virtua Fighter down there. Sweet. There's definitely some titles I'd love to have on here, but that's the cool thing is you can customize this. You don't have to deal with just what is on here. It's a great starting point. You could add more games. You can get rid of games you aren't going to play, so you can customize the experience. Definitely want to check out Dreamcast and test that out. So once we tour through everything, we'll jump into some games. All right, so here we are in Famicom Disk System, 5,655 games in here. And we have some subcategories within. We have featured games, we have find by letter, and we also have official games. So you can go in here, you can go pull all the titles that start with C. So it's very convenient and user-friendly. Here's our regular text list though, and it looks like these are not scraped. Scraped meaning there's no graphics that are going to populate in. Here it's purely a text list. So not my favorite to not have those in, but they're probably trying to save on space that's used up on the micro SD card, so it does make sense in the end. Next collection is Final Burn Neo, 96 games over here. And we have a Street Fighter subcategory here. So these are all Street Fighter games in this folder at the top. And then we have all of our other titles. Everything populates in there, very consistent with the other collections that we've seen. Backing out, next one down is original Game Boy. Man, that's a sharp graphic right there. Definitely like that. 493 Game Boy games. That seems to be on point. And I like the fact that we don't have, like, this is 1081. That's the number we should have for Game Boy Advance. I like the fact that they're not padding numbers and making it, you know, just tons of duplicates where it's hard to navigate. This is very streamlined and on point. Definitely digging this. So back out, moving on, we have Game Boy Color, 548 games. We've got Pikachu in the background there from what looks like the movie. Love the way that this populates in where we have the cover art. We actually have the little cartridge there too. It's a little bit hard to see because it's small, but that's pretty cool. We also have the logo and of course a scene screenshot or screen grab from the actual game. So really cool. Sega Game Gear, 263 games. We have Sega Genesis, 890 games here. These graphics are incredible. We've got MAME, 1,862 games. We'll jump in here. So we have some specific collections at the top: Mortal Kombat, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons. So if we jumped in here, we could find the 2-player version and the 4-player version for The Simpsons. I imagine the same thing for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've got Turtles in Time and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original arcade. And those are going to be multiplayer versions too. So just like Simpsons 2 and 4, we've got Mortal Kombat up here, 4 games here. Very cool. And then we've got all our other stuff in here. So really like the way that this is laid out. Very cool. All right, backing out. Next collection, Sega Master System, 492 games. Check out that graphic for Outrun. That's incredible. We have Mark III in here, Tech Toy as well in subcategories, then all of our favorite games. Backing out, we have Sega Mega Drive next, 1,524 games in here. We've got Genesis Japanese titles here, PTBR. We've got featured games, so we do have those subcategories in here as well. Back in, back out, we have MSX, 668 games, MSX2, 82 games, Neo Geo, 175 games. We've got Neo Geo Pocket Color, 81 games, N64, 187 games in here. We got to check that out, and I love the Donkey Kong graphic there with Diddy Kong as well. So how many titles was that? 187. All right, so pretty cool. I want to see, do we have our Mario games on here? I mean, we've got to, right? And do we have Cruisin'? Because I love the Cruisin' games. Awesome. Cruisin' World, Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' Exotica. It doesn't get any better than that. Those are some of my favorite titles right there. Daffy Duck over here as well. We've got Diddy Kong Racing in the house. What else do we have? Excite Bike, I saw. Duke Nukem 64. Let's see if we've got the Mario titles. And my all-time favorite game, Gauntlet Legends. I saw GoldenEye there. Saw some Kirby. Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. Mario Tennis. Mega Man here. Mario Golf, and Mario Kart 64. So that is pretty cool. Those are all super popular titles, obviously. All right, Ultimate Test here. We've got NBA, so we don't have to worry about that. Do we have wrestling games? So I love WCW, NWO Revenge. I love No Mercy as well for WWF. So let's see if those are on here. That'll be the Ultimate Test. So we do have, we got Backstage Assault, worst game ever made in my opinion, but we've got Nitro, we've got NWO Revenge, we've got, we do not have World Tour in here though. Just verifying that. Yeah, no World Tour and no Mercy. Damn, that's too bad. We've got WWF Attitude, but nobody's going to choose Attitude over No Mercy. So that's unfortunate. Maybe it's because they didn't run well. And if that's the case, I'm cool with it. I'd rather have them not here than have them on here and not be able to play them effectively. But we can always tweak this. Like I said before, you don't have to live with somebody else's creation. You could take off titles like I would take off Virtual Chess 64 and make room for something else in here personally. So you can customize this from what is already on here. We'll back out and we will jump into some of these to test out the performance on this handheld. We've got Nintendo DS, 248 games. Comb through here real quick. Definitely like the scraped layout there with the box art, screenshot, and logo. That's pretty cool. And I like the fact that the screenshot is both screens from Nintendo DS. I was never a big DS guy myself, but can certainly appreciate the way they've laid this out. So backing out now, we've got the Nintendo Entertainment System, 1,540 games in here. And we've also got Dynavision, and we've got this collection over here as well. So in addition to all the other titles for NES. Continuing on, we've got PC Engine, 359 games. We've got original PlayStation with 74 games. Let's see what is included here. I see the Crash Bandicoot games. I see Castlevania here. I see Die Hard Trilogy, Dino Crisis, Duke Nukem, Medal of Honors 1 and 2 in here, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom. What else do we have? Mega Man, Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Tekken 2 and 3, that's awesome. Tomb Raider 1 through 5, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, looks like all of them here. Twisted Metal, awesome. This is pretty sweet. No WWF games here, so for the wrestling fans like me, you're out of luck there. No SmackDown, which is unfortunate, but again, you can add those in yourself. We've got Sony PSP here, 35 games, and these are true PSP titles. These aren't PSP minis. Gran Turismo, God of War, Chains of Olympus. Actually, 2 God of War games in here. MotoGP, some NBA 2K13. That's actually a great game right there. Spider-Man, Street Fighter. We got WWE SmackDown in here. That's pretty cool. Gran Turismo. Sweet. Great selection. Sega Genesis 32X, 37 games. Famicom here, or Super Famicom rather, 451 games. Super Nintendo, 1,232 games. And we do have Super Famicom's sub-collection in here as well. Pretty cool. We've got tools in here, so we can come in here and make some adjustments to emulators and stuff like that, tweaks, file manager, etc. And we're back to our all games list. So that is everything here. That's the full tour. Let's jump into some games and game collections and test out the performance. All right, guys, the RGB20SX from PowKiddy was a wonderful experience. So I love the layout and design, but let's first talk about the performance here. So it lines up perfectly with some of the other options out there for budget-friendly handheld video game consoles. So we're able to play Dreamcast extremely well, N64, PlayStation, and PSP. Everything prior to that is going to perform without any issues at all. So PSP, I did experience that every so often I will have just a little hiccup in the experience. It's nothing to ruin any of the games or anything like that. It's just one little thing that you see every couple of minutes or so with some of the more demanding PSP titles. And I do believe you can go into your settings, make some adjustments probably to the frame rate, and you would probably reduce or totally eliminate that issue altogether. Everything else went without a hitch. N64, very challenging, especially on handhelds, to emulate those games effectively. Wonderful experience on here. We jumped into Cruisin' World. Awesome experience there. Mario Kart 64. I jumped into some of the wrestling games on here. Donkey Kong 64, just absolutely outstanding. Dreamcast, same experience as well. So in terms of the controls here, buttons are very responsive. I love the shoulder and trigger buttons on the back. I talked about how it was very well balanced. I don't feel like I'm kind of competing back and forth when I'm hitting the shoulder or trigger buttons, and the buttons on the front as well. So that's very good. The analog sticks, they're a little bit small, but they're very precise. Excellent feel to them. And you can see that in Cruisin' World here, where I'm able to navigate the car very well. I'm not overcorrecting or all over the road. Every now and then I kind of make some little odd adjustments and stuff, but that's me just getting used to them. But very responsive, very good feel to them. I also love the fact that they are low profile, so they're not hanging out from the control deck considerably. If they were, that would be a concern for me, that I might bang them on like the side of my desk or something like that, and that would obviously be something that works against the longevity of the product. But because they're so compact and close to the surface here, I think it's just a very well thought out design. Another thing that I really love about this is the speaker's location. They're dead center on the control deck. They're not on the sides. They're not on the back side. So oftentimes we do see a lot of handhelds that have them kind of placed on the outside edges. And that always drives me nuts because I end up kind of muffling the audio because my hands end up kind of either completely covering the speakers or at least partially covering it. So the fact that this is lined up perfectly in the center, there's nothing that's going to distort the audio in any way, shape, or form. Now the screen is exceptional on here. Keep in mind you guys are watching a video of a video screen, so you lose quality in that process, but in person this looks incredible. Also love the fact that it's a 4.5-inch screen as opposed to 3.5, which is what we typically see with these compact, budget-friendly options out there. Now, I've talked about this being budget-friendly. Let's talk about that price point. $89.99 is what I paid for this. Prices do fluctuate, so it might be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on where you're getting it, but really love the price point here because it's under $100 and it delivers some serious power and exceptional performance and a larger screen paired with, of course, the fact that the overall layout and design is outstanding. We also have that mini HDMI port up there at the top, so you can connect this over to a TV or monitor and play on a bigger screen if you wanted to, and just use this basically as a portable controller. So really love everything about this. I really can't find anything that I'm not crazy about on here. We also have down here at the bottom, and I didn't even mention this as I was combing through the various port options on here, but we have our DC power supply, OTG down here, so you can plug this in and you're able to charge it up that way with the USB-A to USB-C cable. We also have an audio jack in here, so you can plug headphones into this if you wanted to go that route. So everything that you would want on here is available on this. So really just don't have enough nice things to say about it. I can't find any flaws with this. It just lines up perfectly with what I'm looking for. If I'm really being picky, I would say that because the screen is a little bit more elongated vertically, some of the games are kind of, the aspect ratio is just kind of changed ever so slightly. For me, it doesn't matter. For some people, I could see them being picky about the fact that it's a little bit stretched in a vertical way, but I actually like it. I'd rather it fill the screen, honestly. So yeah, I just really love everything about this. I'm a big fan. This is probably my favorite handheld right now out of all the budget-friendly options. So definitely check it out. Provide a link up here at the top of your screen as well as in the description of this video. Click over, get some additional info if you're interested. That's going to do it for today, though. Let me know what you guys think of the PowKiddy RGB20SX handheld console right here in the comments. That's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to give me a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed the content today. And of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos right here on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys so much.